Mr. Darcy was a romantic. Heathcliff was dreamy, and Vronsky was just misunderstood. He really did love Anna. These are things we're told to think and feel about these men in these classic romances. Well, I'll tell you what I think, and I'll tell you what I feel. I feel that Darcy harassed Elizabeth until she said yes. I think that Heathcliff was manipulative, and I believe that Vronsky was dishonourable for pursuing a married woman. Listen, I love these stories, as I'm sure many of us do, but I do often find myself asking questions like, is that romance, or is it harassment? Is that beautiful, or is it dishonourable? And I'm sure many of you are currently thinking, Cleo, they were of their time. And please do not misunderstand me. I am well aware that Miss Jane Austen and her ideology are mostly a thing of the past. They're mostly applying to the latter. Jane is very much a thing of the past. But what I'm trying to get you to understand is that regarding these gestures as romantic out of context in a modern-day society can potentially be damaging. Let's really think about this and break it down a little bit. Pride and Prejudice. Mr. Darcy proposes to Elizabeth, who responds with a very firm no. I think we'll find she says something along the lines of him being the last man on earth whom she could be prevailed upon to marry. Harsh, right? So he goes away and he comes back and he says to her, listen, I still love you and I still want to marry you. Within the context of the characters and the story, this is all very romantic and we all have tears in our eyes, I'm sure. But what we really have is a man who continued to pursue a woman even after a very firm no. Another thing we often see in literature is the women paying the bigger price, but getting less in return for these romances. Anna Karenina, it's a famous bit of Russian literature by Tolstoy. It follows the life of a famous Russian politician as she begins an illicit affair with a young Russian soldier. Now, for those of you who finished the book, firstly, you did better than I did, but I'm sure you'll also agree with me when I say that Anna's ending was a tragedy. But it's also a prime example of women paying the bigger price than men. Listen, I don't want to be the killer of romance, and I certainly don't want us to stop enjoying these stories altogether, but what I want you to understand is that regarding them as romantic out of context is damaging, and it further perpetuates damaging ideas about relationship, but also just life itself. Vronsky, Darcy, and Heathcliff very may well have been romantics when Jane and her ideology were a thing of the present. We were in the 21st century where we can't keep regarding these gestures as romantic because, well, they're not. They're just called being a bad boyfriend. Thank you.